What are we saying, my peeps? Și salut! Just to clarify, this is in fact an English video, dar vreau să fiu foarte clar că se aplică ambelor audiențe române și engleze de pe canalul meu. So today we are looking at what you need to know about studying in the UK this year in 2020 or next year in 2021. So it is like the middle of August now, and some of you still haven't decided on whether you will be going to university this year, or you don't know much about the process of going to university in the UK in 2020 or 2021. Și de fapt e un subiect pe care mulți dintre voi îl aduceți în conversație. So I figured that today we're gonna make a video explaining just that. What is currently known to us in the middle of Brexit, post the first wave of the pandemic. What will uni life be like for you? For this video, however, I will not be explaining all this stuff because I think it's better to have an actual expert, someone who works in a university for the international students, explain the process and what to expect. So welcome to the very first interview I host on my YouTube channel. Meet Laura Spencer, who I've known for years when I was a teacher. Her and I also met when I was an actual student before being a teacher. So we go a long way, and she's agreed to take part in this interview, as well as give some genuine insight into the future of studying in the UK for this year and for 2021. Hope you enjoy this, and as always, more importantly, I hope you find this video useful. Just before we get into that, would you mind kindly subscribing to the channel by pressing the little button and then the notification icon next to it to make sure you get an update when I upload next time. Thanks for also taking time out of your busy schedule to help me understand the future of education for international students.
That's okay, you're welcome, not a problem, it's a pleasure.
So everyone, this is Laura Spencer. We've known each other for years, haven't we?
We have indeed. Just checking, are we recording at the moment?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm all over it, like I've been recording since the beginning. So you are head of the international admissions. I just want to confirm your role.
I've only ever worked with international students at UK universities. My first role at Canterbury Christchurch University was International Student Advisor. I'm much more involved in recruitment now as well. So I'm working with students, prospective students. It's a job whereby you're meeting people from all over the world and you feel like you're having a positive impact on their university experience, which for me, I loved university. I had such a fantastic time. I knew I always wanted to work for a UK university.
So these are questions that you guys have left in my comments and you've sent on the gram, like I always invite you. So I've put them into 4 or 5 categories. So I guess one of the most popular question is, what is the final date for applications for this year and for next year?
For this year, obviously we're well into the recruitment cycle. So for somebody that's thinking to themselves they'd like to start studying this September, I would say it's not too late. It's definitely not too late. For instance, if you go onto the website now, you can look to see which courses still have availability. It will say very clearly if a course is closed. There is a cut-off date. It's off the top of my head, it's something like 2 weeks into the start of the semester. Sorry. So I would say if you're looking to make an application now, please do. We would welcome it, certainly. We want people to start on time just because we've got the welcome weeks. I always feel that anyone that starts after the official start date is at a slight disadvantage because you're arriving when friendship groups have already formed.
And would this apply for next year as well? Rough dates, rough time periods?
Yeah, this time over the summer, August, early September, we still have lots of people applying at this point because in the UK it's known as clearing and adjustment. So you have people making quite last-minute changes to their study plans.
So if I remember correctly, we come to university at the start and then we have Freshers Week. Is that still happening?
Yes, absolutely. So this is, that's obviously such a great time. Usually now, actually, it lasts a couple of weeks, and especially with the whole COVID situation, many universities now are doing things online as well as face-to-face. But the number one objective is for you to feel settled, feel welcome. It's a chance to make friends, to become acquainted with the local area.
You meet some friends, actually learn the place you're going to be living in. It's purely an experience, a social experience before you start your academic work.
Definitely. It's really important, because that's when people begin to make friends.
Number 2, let's move into the more serious questions, I guess, the technicalities of it. A lot of people are comfortable with handing their information over to an agent when they live abroad. So I personally always encourage people to apply directly through UCAS, because that's how I did it, and I have more visibility on the universities. What do you recommend, agent versus doing it yourself?
Yeah, there's no right or wrong. It's very much personal preference. As you found out yourself, the UCAS system is very user-friendly. It's designed with students in mind. There is no reason why an individual can't apply themselves. There are lots of people at the universities as well that you can ask for assistance. And many of the representatives we work with, we've done so for many, many years. So they know us as an institution. Some have studied with us as well. So some have that added personal connection, which is really nice, and they can share their experience.
A lot of you guys get different quotes from different agencies, and that was one question. Is there a difference? So here's a good tip. Go to the website and check for the legitimate ones, the ones you okayed, the ones you already work with. Cool. Now in best practice for choosing your university. Research. How much research should we be doing before we actually apply?
Wherever you decide to go, you'll have a fantastic time. But I would say, depending on who you are as an individual, you've got to make sure that you have that connection with the institution. And the best way to see whether or not you've got that connection, I guess, is, in an ideal world, you would physically visit. Obviously, that's quite difficult at the moment, I know, and universities have worked really hard to sort of put themselves out there online. There's all sorts of virtual tours that you can do. But even more important than that, you can speak to university representatives, speak to current students and alumni like yourself, and really get that sort of first-hand knowledge. And think about where you want to live. Do you want to be on a campus? Do you want to be in the city centre?
That's a good point as well, location versus just the institution.
Yeah,
really
because
good point.
You're investing 3-4 years of your life in this place. You've got to be happy studying there. Every university will have a slightly different ambience, and think also about the style of learning that the university is going to offer. So is it very research intensive? Is it a little bit more
practical,
focused on the teaching side? What is the pastoral support like? Really look at the course content to see how that program is going to be delivered. Because even though, 2 institutions, they might be offering business studies, the content of the course will differ between institution and the style of delivery as well. So, think about all of these things. And I think prospective students now are so lucky because they've got so many resources available to them. Sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming. There's just so much information out there.
Too much information sometimes. You can't even decide.
Yeah. But, I would also say take your time. You don't have to rush, as I said. There's still time. If you're thinking of September 2020 to start, there's still time available. So, definitely chat to people.
Next one, I guess, is again more of a personal choice of things. How many options or choices should we have in our applications?
Start with the big questions. Do you want to be in London? Do you want to be outside of London? Do you want to be in the north of the country or in the south? And try to filter them out that way. That's probably a good start.
So, like I was saying, there's no specific number. Narrow your searches and then apply according to these desires you have. Duh. The next question is a serious one, considering that UK now is transiting after Brexit, pandemic on top of all of it, Do we need a visa? Do we need a sponsor or any proof of funds in the bank? The technicalities of being here physically.
For students arriving this September, life will be exactly as it is now. So, and that's for the duration of their course as well. So, starting this September, they'll be on this current fee regime. Once they arrive, we'll be helping them apply for their pre-settled status and ultimately settled status if that's what they wish to do in future. For anyone arriving in the UK after the 31st of December, there will then be a new immigration system in place. We're still awaiting further details as well. I mean, there's a few sort of top level announcements. Universities will have advisors, they'll have staff to help you through that process. So at the moment, we're still very much waiting for further announcements as well. But I would say don't be frightened by that. This is quite typical in these sorts of situations. And, as soon as we get information, we'll be looking to translate it into much clearer language. If you're arriving in the UK after the 31st of December, then yes, there will be new rules in place, and as soon as we know the details, we'll be putting those up on our web pages. If I can make one recommendation, if anyone ever has any sort of immigration-related questions generally about coming to the UK, UKISA, which is the UK Council of International Student Affairs, is a really fantastic resource designed for students, written in language that's easy to understand for everyone, and that's a go-to hub of information.
Thank you. That's something we didn't know. Next off, big question, probably the most popular, money. Money. We have student finance. Is this still available post-Brexit?
Again, it's going to depend which category you fall into. So if you're starting your studies this September, then yes, you fall under the current rules. It's available to you in exactly the same way as it has been previously, and that's for the full duration of the course. If you're starting next year, so September 2021, then you will fall under the new regime. We're waiting to see what the result of that will be, but we're waiting to see what that actually means in reality. So, keep an eye on websites and keep speaking with university staff, because there may be scholarships or bursaries available. Let's wait and see what happens. But the good news is that the details should be released very soon.
Students want to know, can they find jobs as students, and can the university support them to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so this is so important, both in terms of, earning day-to-day pocket money, as it were, while you're studying. Everyone needs to be able to fund their life in Canterbury or wherever it is you're studying. Universities pride themselves on the career services and the employability services that they have available to students. Register with our in-house recruitment agency, UniTemps, or students work for the university as well. Students can combine this easily with their studies. They can work in our own catering outlets, or they might even work with us as well. So you may have met Marta recently, I think, and she's a student ambassador. We have specialist advisors on hand to help you identify these skills and then help you talk about them both in an interview setting, but also on your CV as well. It's fantastic to have a degree these days. It's needed, it's valued.
Standard, everyone should have one.
But you also need to show how, what is your value? What else can you bring to a company? The degree that you're studying, we have work-based learning modules. So everything is about identifying what it is you'll be taking with you to the workplace.
All skills are transferable and can be applied in the workplace after graduation. The final stage, final bit that people are curious about is, again, a very popular question. Accommodation. Should I live on campus? Should I get private? Or should I just do it online? Is that how things are moving in this day and age?
Yeah, okay, so that's an interesting one. I would say in the first year, if you can, university accommodation, just because it's such a unique experience. The accommodation now is fantastic. I mean, when I was at university, I shared a bedroom with someone, and I was sharing bathrooms and kitchens with about 15 other people. Now, the rooms are all en suite. You know, they're of a really good standard, but you still share your communal facilities, such as in the kitchen, you know, and the lounge area as well. You know, in the first year, when you're settling in, when you're making friends, for me, that university hall experience is really quite precious, actually, and I would always encourage people to make the most of that. You know, a lot of it comes down to personal preference. You know, the university accommodation will be very close to where the lectures take place, but then by the second year, third year, I think people begin to become a bit more independent, and quite often students then want to move into private sector accommodation.
Yeah.
You know, they usually, you know, they've made their friends, maybe there's a small group of 4 or 5 that want to be in a house in amongst ordinary residents. There are lots of private landlords that specialise in student accommodation.
A lot. Everywhere you go, there are landlords everywhere.
And again, you know, the universities have advisors on hand. When you sign a tenancy agreement in the private sector, you know, you have to remember that it's a legally binding agreement. I always say, make sure you get somebody to check through it with you before you sign anything. You know, again, you don't have to rush. There's lots of houses available. Keep your options open. But for me, I think in the first year, I think I would always recommend university accommodation, just because I feel that there's more security nets.
What about online? Do you think that schooling universities are gonna go in this direction?
Yeah, universities now, they're taking very much a blended approach, which actually was always the case. It's just perhaps with the COVID situation, things have sped up a little. Yes, there will be lectures delivered online, but we're a community and people want to interact, they want to be together. Universities are going to be so keen to still preserve that. So don't for a minute think that your entire university experience would all be online. That's not the case at all. And universities are working really hard to make sure, especially new and younger students, you know, undergraduates, still have all of the face-to-face interaction that they need or want.
Yeah, exactly.
Some things may be a little bit different, but, you know, this is something that's common the world over. We're certainly ready to welcome people face to face.
It sounds like you guys are extremely confident, and it sounds like everything's prepared. So that gives me confidence, and it should give you guys as well.
Absolutely.
These were all the questions I had. Well, they had. Anything that you would like to add as like?
University is such a unique time, and everyone's experience will be unique to them. But you know, universities in the UK, you know, they really work hard to ensure that the wider student experience is as fulfilling as possible. So, you know, it's about so much more than just your academic degree. And I would encourage you just to make the most of it, because, you know, 3 or 4 years, it goes far quicker than you can ever imagine.
It does,
which
it really does.
It's so sad. and you know, there's so much to do. You will quickly fill your time. Yeah, it's an opportunity to really explore and find out who you are as an individual and what you want to aspire to in life.
Laura, thanks again for this. I seriously appreciate it, and I hope you guys.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And it's really lovely to speak to you as well, Bogdan, and just to hear everything that you're up to.
A lot. Oh, sunny England, I have missed you. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, hope you find it useful, and I hope that you could actually understand everything that was said, because the sound was not great. It's hard to film an external source. But if you have any other questions, orice nelămurire, orice nu ați înțeles pe bune, leave it in the comments. Needless to say, good luck in your search for the perfect uni for you. You are essentially embarking on your life I don't know if you've yet understood that or have yet realized. I'm gonna leave this video here because it's been long enough. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you'd like more of this stuff, or if you just like me personally. Press that sub and then that notification thing right next to it to get updates when I upload new stuff. Data viitoare ne întoarcem la un video în română. O listă destul de lungă de cele mai nașpa experiențe cu colegii de casă din vremea studenției. Vă pup și ne auzim săptămâna viitoare. Salut!